Welcome to this press conference, where today the government leadership wants to share some of the key priorities we have for our work program for the rest of 2026. And let me start with immigration policy. Not long ago, all of Europe witnessed some very violent and, for many of us, deeply worrying events in Ceuta. What happened there underlines the importance of one thing: that immigration policy stays strict and sets clear rules, both for Denmark and for Europe. We need to strengthen Europe's outer borders, and we need to protect our countries from people who simply have no business being here. Denmark has chosen to lead the way. We will keep doing that, and thankfully, we are now closer to establishing a return center arrangement outside of Europe. Similarly, many of us Danes were deeply affected by the way our summer holiday began. What was supposed to be a good evening at Strømmen, where many people had gathered to watch football, ended in deadly violence. A completely senseless attack on a Swedish police officer ended in the most tragic outcome. The man charged in this case has previously been convicted of attempted murder, rape, assault, and making threats, among other things. The case is now being handled by prosecutors before the court. Of course, we respect that process, but we also take a political stand when something like this happens in our country. And we simply have to say that deadly violence, in some cases, is punished with an unbelievably and completely unacceptably short sentence. It is wrong when we see offenders receive such low sentences. Offenders who have a criminal record like this one, who are deeply criminal and have committed violent crimes before. And that is why we will now propose further tougher sentences for future cases of deadly violence, where offenders who, for example, have previously been convicted of violent crimes should receive harsher punishment. Yes, I actually think this case has affected many of us deeply, and when we then saw what kind of sentence he might get, that makes it even worse.
Another focus for the government going forward will, of course, be a continued push on everyday household finances. Just before summer break, we passed a temporary increase to the commuter tax deduction, benefiting over 1 million commuters, and nearly 100,000 Danes have already adjusted their deduction since it became possible in July. Because I also want grocery shopping to be cheaper. That is why, once it is technically possible, we will cut food tax in half and remove it entirely on fruit and vegetables. This will especially help low-income families, where food costs naturally take up a bigger share of the budget than for others. We will also lend a helping hand to pensioners, giving at least 1,000 kroner extra per month and up to 3,000 kroner extra for those on early retirement pension. We will keep working on improving our public schools. This is urgent. More than 1 in 10 students leave school without passing Danish and math in 9th grade, and at some schools, it is more than 1 in 5. That means thousands of children and young people are already starting life at a disadvantage. This is a massive failure. We want to invest heavily in our public schools. We will do this both financially and academically. This includes giving a special boost to the 100 schools in Denmark where students perform worst in Danish and math. We will name those 100 schools before the year is out, so the whole effort can begin with the next school year. We want to get screens out of schools, crack down on the tech giants with stricter regulation, an age limit of 15, and a tax on the tech companies that are not contributing positively to our society today. We also need to get moving on animal welfare and agriculture. We will set up a 4-party pig committee, where together with farmers and other stakeholders in this field, we will chart a new direction and a more positive vision for the future of pig farming. Our long-term goal is for Danish pig farming to mainly raise pigs that we can use and eat here in Denmark, or that can be processed domestically before export. This way, we reduce the export of live piglets, support Danish jobs, and move production further up the value chain. And the pigs need to be treated better. That is why we should no longer have extreme breeding practices in Denmark, and we need to reduce how many piglets die every single day in our agricultural production. In the short term, we will introduce a temporary halt on expanding the existing conventional pig production, which is a first step toward turning this development around.
Finally, and then I will hand over the floor, we will continue the necessary strengthening of Danish defense. Among other things, we have joined forces with Ukraine to develop the capabilities we will need in the future when it comes to anti-ballistic missile defense. We now see very often in Ukraine that ballistic missiles strike hard into Europe, and we need to be able to defend ourselves against that. We need to strengthen our own combat power. We need to contribute to NATO's force goals and our presence in the Arctic. And all of this is really about being able to defend both our own kingdom and Europe on the day it becomes necessary.
Thanks for watching Indiavision. Subscribe and be updated.